You're going, fellers. Hello and welcome to the Wrestle Ramble. I'm your host, Angelus Walker, better known as Cyber Angelus X over on YouTube, but you can call me AJ for short. Now, today's episode is gonna be a great one. Today we are talking about Worlds Collide, the first ever WWE and AAA event, which was last weekend, and man, that was a great show. I rewatched it just a minute ago, just to have everything kind of fresh in my head, because I did watch it not too long after it aired last week. I was actually recording last week's episode whenever that was going on, so I watched that after I got done recording last week's episode, or the previous episode, excuse me. So, fantastic show, as I mentioned. I'm really liking the cross-brand stuff, the cross-promotion stuff that I'm seeing between the two. I'll dive more into that throughout the episode, but I'm really liking everything that I've seen so far. So I really hope that we continue to have these joint promotion shows, because the action was fast and furious. There was a lot to cover. I couldn't possibly cover everything because it was just too quick. It was too quick. It was too good. All I'm going to say is you got to watch it. You got to watch it, but we're going to go ahead and jump into today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, go ahead and grab those cold ones and pop one open, because Tuesdays are for the boys. And with that being said, let's jump into Worlds Collide. So, on a quick note, before we get started here with this show, whenever I watched it last weekend, it actually made me really want to jump into more Lucha Libre. And so, funny enough, I've been kind of keeping track with AAA here and there over the years. I didn't really spend too much time or dedicate too much time keeping up with it, but I followed it on Instagram. You know, I would keep up with it here and there. I'd like a few posts here and there, and so I'm not entirely in the loop, but I always had it at least in the back of my mind. So, I've been watching AAA for probably about 6-7 years, off and on, here and there. As I've mentioned, I've seen a few shows here and there, but I haven't really followed along with it consistently. So, because of the Worlds Collide show, it actually reminded me that I recorded, or at least I set it to record on my DVR to record AAA, because I actually am able to pick up the channel that it's on. But it hasn't recorded anything for a little bit. So after the Worlds Collide show, I went back and I watched an episode of AAA, and whew, it was great. It was great, and I definitely think that I'm gonna watch it a little bit more here and there. Not really consistently like how I watch like Raw or SmackDown or AEW or some of the local promotions, like their shows and stuff like that. I might add it into my rotation here and there, because it was really good. It was really good. I enjoyed what I saw, and I think that I am going to talk about it at some point here on the podcast. Not really sure when, but Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We'll see. So AAA has always been one that has just kind of been on the back burner, as I said. And then because of that, I actually watched my first CMLL show, and I really enjoyed what I saw with CMLL as well. And so I think I might talk about that show that I watched at some point. I think that might actually be one of the next couple of episodes. Not really sure. I'm still kind of getting the schedule together with that and figuring out what I want to do with that. But I think I might talk about it here soon. But with CMLL, I actually found out something that was really interesting. And I found out that they are actually the oldest organization still operating. And so, if because of nothing else, I want to give them a watch just because of that. And, just to see what they offer, see how good the company really is. So I think I'm going to dive into a little bit more CMLL here as well. But the show starts, and we get a great opening video package narrated by Rey Mysterio. And he's saying that this is how we honor the past while looking towards the future. And that was a great way to really set the mood for the show. But we're live in Los Angeles, and we're right across the way from the Money in the Bank show that'll be happening later on in the night. And I will be talking about Money in the Bank eventually down the road too. So stay tuned for that. Corey, don't call him Cunningham, talks to us while we're getting some arrival shots of the wrestlers getting to the building. This was really fun for me to do at DCW, and I hope that I get to do this down the line again. That was really cool. But everyone we see arriving, Rey Mysterio, Stephanie Vaquer, Lola Vice, Chad Gable, Chad Grande Gable, and Vikingo all get into the arena. So Corey and Conan are on commentary for this show here today. And it was really great to hear Conan. Really great to hear him. And I've seen a bit of Conan's stuff. Not too much, but with me getting more into AAA and of course some of the older wrestling, I'm hoping that I'll be able to watch a little bit more of Conan's matches. Between that and maybe finding some of his stuff from WCW, I think it'll be a good mix of Conan variety, if you know what I mean. But Conan main evented the first When Worlds Collide, and I really want to watch that show. And apparently it's available on YouTube. You can watch it right from there. At least that's how I'm going to watch it. So I think I'm going to talk about that here on the podcast as well, coming up soon. Who knows? It might be one of the next episodes. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm still getting the order together for that, but I will let you guys know whatever I decide. But I definitely want to talk about When Worlds Collide, especially because this show happened here recently, and with the WWE and AAA now being together, it's cool to look back on some of the older shows like that and to see some of the cross promotions, like the cross promotional shows that happened. And I want to get more into that because I think I actually saw somewhere, it might have been on YouTube actually, that it was a FMW ECW joint show, and so I definitely want to give that a watch and talk about that as well. And so just a lot of that joint promotional wrestling I'm looking to get into, not only from right now, but from the older shows, as I mentioned before. So if you have any shows or any matches that you recommend, please let me know. I will absolutely happily watch that if I can track that down and give that a watch, because I think that'd be a lot of fun to talk about. And with a lot of companies working together again, which is great to see. It's going to be really interesting seeing some of these matchups, some potential dream matches that we could really set our eyes on here in the next couple years, and it's just a really great time to be a wrestling fan. Let's be real. It's been a real great time for a good while to be a wrestling fan. But the next up, we get a shot of Shawn Michaels and the AAA president. I'm so sorry if I get this wrong. Maricela Pena. It's funny because I saw the memes that were saying when your parents are divorced and they're at your wedding, and it was just them standing next to each other. That great meme. If you haven't seen that, I got a really good laugh from that. We go through the anthem for both countries, and then we are joined by Rey Mysterio. And Rey recently got the Legends Impact Award. It's really cool to see. He absolutely deserves that. And man, gosh, I've been seeing Rey Mysterio wrestle for such a long time. He's actually he was one of my favorites growing up as a kid, and he was also one of my brother's favorites too. Both of my brothers, they were big fans of Rey Mysterio, and so it does not really feel like I've been seeing Rey wrestle as long as I have. And then when you also take into account the years before, obviously, before I started watching him, Rey is an OG for sure. Like, Rey has been in the game for a good while, and I'm glad he's still going pretty strong, even in 2025. But so many of my favorites from my childhood have been retiring. Triple H, The Undertaker, John Cena's retiring, AJ Styles is talking about retiring. I can't handle it. I can't handle when my favorites retire. This sucks. Please don't retire. You can have one more match, just the one. We can give the Undertaker his streak back. Triple H can have that one more sledgehammer shot. John Cena could have that just for men again. You know what I'm saying? We can make things happen. You can have that one more championship run, Ric Flair. Oh well. Maybe not Flair. But you get the idea. You get the idea. I just hate seeing my favorites retire, man. It really sucks. It really sucks. But they have earned that because, gosh, they have been around the block for a good while, and just makes me sad as well. So one thing I did like though was Lillian Garcia, who was the announcer for tonight. She does all of the announcements in Spanish, and that was a really nice touch. I like that a lot. So Rey Mysterio makes his way out to the ring, as I mentioned before, and he cuts a promo, initially in Spanish, mostly in Spanish, but pretty much what I got from this, because I don't speak Spanish, sorry. Pretty much what I got from this, he was talking about the first Worlds Collide, and I remember watching the match that he was in. It was a 6-man tag match, I remember. I don't remember who was in it. The Latin Lover was one of his partners, I remember. That's pretty much it. And one of the guys that he was facing was Psychosis, and that's about all I got from that. But he was talking about the first Worlds Collide, as I said, and I remember seeing this match on the Rey Mysterio Biggest Little Man DVD. It was actually the first match that plays on the DVD, and so it was really cool to see some of the highlights and the clips from that match again. It gave me all of the nostalgia feels because I remember getting that DVD as a kid. And so it just, seeing those highlights just immediately took me back to being that kid and watching that match on that DVD again. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. He talks about the Fed, of course. You gotta always talk about the Fed. And he also talks about how he thought that Lucha would only be in Mexico, but he's proud of the revolution that it's pretty much become. And now we get to fall in love with what he fell in love with as a kid, and that's Lucha Libre. And this was just a great promo by Rey. This was a really great promo, and he was right. He is right. Because of this show, I realized how much I really enjoy Lucha Libre. It's a little bit different than the wrestling that I'm accustomed to, because aside from Western wrestling, of course, just like, American wrestling, really the only other wrestling that I've watched has been Japanese wrestling. And regardless of whether that would be like New Japan or Pro Wrestling Noah or Stardom or 90s All Japan or anything like that. It's pretty much everything aside from American wrestling has been Japanese. And so I haven't really delved, is that a word? I haven't really gotten too much into Lucha Libre. I was always aware that it was there, but I don't think I really took the time to sit and watch a show and give it a honest opinion. And so because of this, that led me to, as I said, AAA and CMLL, and I really enjoy Lucha Libre. And it's a little bit hard to write notes for, not gonna lie, but it's enjoyable. It's definitely enjoyable, and I think I want to shine a light on that too as much as I can, because the CMLL show that I watched was really good, and so I'm gonna have a lot of fun talking about that whenever we get to that. But after the Rey Mysterio promo, we immediately go into entrances. We get Mr. Iguana. This is my fucking guy right here. This is my dude. This meant sign this man. We need Mr. Iguana ASAP, okay? Sign him to wherever, okay? I don't care. If he's in NXT, I'll watch NXT, all right? Get Mr. Iguana in the Fed, all right? After that, we get Aerostar and Octagon Jr. We're gonna have a 6-man tag to get us started here today. And during the entrance, Iguana kicks the stuffed iguana off the ground onto his shoulder. Just slick as fuck, man. That was clean. Next up, we get Lince Dorado, Dragon Lee, and Cruz del Toro. And just because Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan are here in the crowd, and to no one's surprise, they get booed. I think they were booing Dominic more so than they were Liv. We don't boo Liv around here. Conan says that he's Dominic's godfather, which I didn't know that, but I mean, it makes sense. Rey and Conan are really close. So, fun fact. Conan immediately from the get-go lets us know that this is not American wrestling, okay? This is not the shit that you are used to, friend. This here is Lucha Libre. This is going to be quick. This is going to be fast. This is going to be furious. And they were not fucking lying because, oh my God, I could not try to keep up with all of the things that happened throughout all of these matches if I tried. They were quick. I stuck to the highlights because these boys and girls move at 1,000 miles an hour. It's literally blink and you will miss it because sheesh, they do be flying. Mr. Iguana has so many good moments in this match. Honestly, this whole match was just a Mr. Iguana highlight. Let's be real, okay? We're gonna talk about a couple of his spots just immediately, right? So Iguana comes in and he tangos with Lindsay for a second, okay? So he gets the stuffed iguana and he puts it on his hand, and the iguana bites Lindsay? Question mark? I have no idea. So Iguana, Mr. Iguana then runs and springs off the ropes, right? Insane. Like he's got the iguana on his hand the entire time. So springs off the ropes, kind of like an arm drag, and he takes Lindsay back. Leapfrog over with the iguana in his mouth. He then rolls back. So he does a reverse roll right onto the shoulder of Lindsay Dorado. Lindsay bounces him off of the top rope, but Iguana is able to counter it into an arm drag. Crazy. He then tosses the iguana on Lindsay and then starts to count. 2 count fall. Lindsay tosses it off and the referee catches it. The ref then tosses it to Mr. Iguana. He catches it and then front flips into a seated position with the iguana. Holy shit. That was a lot to type. From here, we get our first look at Dragon Lee and Aerostar. Dragon at one point looks like he wants to monkey flip Aerostar over the top rope, but he's able to catch him and he just tosses him right over. From there, Mr. Iguana and Octagon come in and hit stereo Hurricane Ranas on Cruz and Lindsay. Well, okay. Lindsay did not fucking catch Octagon at all. Like, he splat on the fucking floor. Let's be real. Lindsay did not try to catch him at all. We then get a tope from Aerostar on Dragon Lee. So the crowd's going crazy at this point, as you would expect. Dragon hits a gnarly leaping Lee. Leaping Lee? What? Dragon hits a gnarly... Yeah. Dragon hits a gnarly... Yeah. Dragon hits a gnarly leaping knee on Aerostar. Easy for me to say. Holy shit. Aerostar then answers with a drop kick right to the face because fuck you. Cruz and Iguana are legal now. Iguana then goes from a electric chair position and he swings around and just plants Cruz fucking right on his face with a face buster. And then from there he grabs let me see if I can get this right. La Liera? Oh my God, I cannot. La Liera? Is that how you say that? If it's not, I'm so sorry. I tried. I really did. So he goes to grab the iguana again, and the iguana once again bites the hand of Lindsay Dorado. He's got a vendetta against Lindsay. So he then walks the ropes, and as he walks the ropes, he smacks the iguana off of his hand. So Lindsay is just on his, like it's just biting him, I guess. And then he nails a Hurricane Rana on Dragon Lee. And then Lindsay has a moment, and he's like, wait a minute. It's not real. It's just a stuffed animal. and he just tosses this shit on the ground. He stomps it, he drops an elbow on it, and he hits a standing Spanish fly and essentially becomes the biggest heel in the business, okay? Corey says, oh, the humanity. Lindsay says, I'm a cat. Hiss. And then Iguana is just standing behind him. You see the shot. Iguana is just right behind him. And he, crazy eyes and all. And he's like, bitch. And then he hit the tilt-a-whirl head scissors on Lindsay, and he goes round and round with him. Okay? And then he whips all three guys with the stuffed iguana, and then they just turn around like this, motherfucker. Triple super kick to Iguana. We do not approve of abuse to Iguana. We then get "This is awesome" chants, and I agree. This has been a really great match so far. Great way to start off the show. Cruz then walks the top rope, and he hits a drop kick on Iguana. That was holy shit. Everyone just, they brought everything they possibly could to this match, and this entire match was a highlight. So, Octagon hit a moonsault fall-away slam off the top rope from here on Lindsay Dorado, and this was enough to win the match for his team. And holy shit, literally my note says this whole match was a fucking highlight. Great way. I really enjoyed this. Well, you know who did not enjoy this, apparently? The Intercontinental Champion, one Dominic Mysterio. Because he gets on the mic and he says, you know, I've heard that you're a big Rey Mysterio fan, referring to Octagon Jr. He says, but you seem to be forgetting that he's a deadbeat. And then Dom goes on to say something in Spanish. I'm not sure what he says, but I don't think it was too kind. Let me put it like that. So Octagon Jr. at this point is on the outside, and he's face to face with Dominic. And Dominic doesn't like this. He doesn't take too kindly to anyone, let alone somebody from another promotion stepping to the Intercontinental Champion, right? So he shoves Octagon Jr. away, and then Octagon is like, nah, I don't think so. I think not, bitch. And so he yeets Dominic's ass over the barricade, and they just start throwing fisticuffs, like to the point where security and other people had to break it up. And Dominic goes on to say, you know what? I'll see your sorry ass later on tonight at Money in the Bank. I'll make sure to put this Intercontinental Championship on the line. You just make sure you're there, because I'm going to whoop your ass. And as we saw with how Money in the Bank went, Dominic Mysterio is still your Intercontinental Champion. So I like this. I like the impromptu beef, the heated exchange, the impromptu title match for the pay-per-view later tonight. I really enjoy that between the two companies. More of this. I like this. Yes. From there, we move on to a video package talking about how AAA came to be. And it mentions how CMLL was the head promotion over in Mexico for decades. And then after being a wrestler, Antonio Pena became a booker. And so I like the backstory that they give us. I like the history that they give us for AAA. And they covered everything pretty well. It definitely made me more interested to see some of the older AAA stuff, and just to see where they came from, and just maybe see if I can find, like specific eras within AAA, like how there are specific eras within WWE, and just go from there and really kind of get started watching AAA. But as I said before, I'm also going to start watching some CLLL stuff. So more AAA, more WWE, more WCW, more CMLL, just more wrestling. Just all around more wrestling. You want it, we got it, okay? We're plentiful in this bitch. But I always thought it was the other way around and thought that AAA was the older promotion and CMLL was the new kid on the block. But, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. So it was just cool, as I said before, to get that kind of history lesson detailing the promotion. And I might have been thinking about the Crash promotion. Is that still a thing? Let me know if the Crash promotion is still around. I'm kind of curious. From there, we get a couple of crowd shots, and we see that Mascarita Sagrada is actually in the crowd. And that's pretty cool. I remember liking a lot of his matches in Lucha Underground, and so it's always good to see him. And the Latin Lover is also here. As I mentioned before, he was one of the tag partners of Rey Mysterio in that match from the first Worlds Collide that I mentioned at the top of the episode. From there, we have Legado del Fantasma being interviewed by Chuy Martinez. Chuy, who? Anyway, they say they're gonna show who owns Lucha here tonight, and so they're gonna be in 6-man tag action here coming up soon. From there, we get Stephanie Vaquer, Lola Vice going up against Dalys and Chik Tormenta. We get a video package for Vaquer at the beginning, but then it details the history between her and her opponents. And like I said, I really like the cross promotion stuff, and I really like seeing the footage from the other companies here on WWE TV. Crazy that Stephanie wrestled in a 6-woman tag match on SmackDown, did the tag match here, and then later on that day did the ladder match at Money in the Bank. I know she had to be sore later on that night. Good God Almighty! That just goes to show you, though, she is tough. She is tough as she is fine. Let me tell you. From the package, we get a shot of the Champs Galore in the crowd. First up, we have Io Shirai. I'm sorry, it's so hard for me to call her Io Sky. That's weird. So the women's world champion is here, and right behind her, there's a dude in a weed mask with a weed championship. What a guy. And then we see the WWE Women's Champion, Tiffy Time, in the crowd as well. First up, we get the AAA ladies, and so they make their way out to the ring. And then Lola Vice, and then Stephanie Vaquer coming out last. Or Vaquer, if you ask Nikki Bella. Gosh. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that Nikki Bella, is she back? Is she back in a full-time role? Or like a semi-full-time role? I really hope not. I really don't want to see her run a program with anybody. Like, first off, the Bellas have always been mid, okay? They were never anything special to begin with. They played a part in what you would consider, I guess, the Revolution at that point in time. Sure. But their skills as wrestlers, I mean, they're far better. They're far better. Let's be real. There were far better, and there are far better today. And I will stand on that. And I'm still just at a loss as to why they're in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. That's just me. But like I said, I've never been the biggest Bella fan. When I was a teenager way back when, I thought they were always good looking. But I never gave a shit about like Total Divas or Total Bellas or any other thing that the Fed tried to push on us with them. And cool, she had that 300-day reign or whatever with the Divas Championship. But you know what I don't want to see in 2025 is a Nikki Bella Championship reign. So let's just not even kind of do that, Chief. Please. Anyway, Stephanie and Dalys start us off. Stephanie looks for the Devil's Kiss early, which Booker T is quaking in his boots. And I agree with them. They say that Chik Tormenta has been wrestling since the age of 15, and gosh, I wish I could have been wrestling at 15. I would have loved that. And if I can help it, the sooner. No. If I can help it, whenever I have kids, if wrestling is something that they are interested in, as long as I can help it, I would love to make sure that they get as quick and as early a start in wrestling as they could. Because that's what I would have wanted. And so if they have that love for wrestling the way that I do, I want to make sure that they have that opportunity that I did not. So, man, just wrestling at the age of 15, that must have been cool, but also terrifying. But it's definitely worth it. It is definitely worth it. They mentioned a few times on commentary that Lola Vice isn't trained in lucha and how that can work against her, but it also works in her favor. I'm pretty sure they said this as well. It also works in her favor because her opponent isn't used to the style that she is, that she wrestles. So it could work both ways. And as I said, I'm pretty sure they said that on commentary, but I just wanted to touch base on that. Negro Casas is in the crowd, and he is the husband of Dalys. So he's cheering his wife on. That's really cool to see. Stephanie at one point gets the hot tag, and we get stereo Devil's Kisses by Stephanie and Lola. From there, Lola hits a cannonball on Chik Tormenta on the outside, taking her out of the match for the rest of it. And then Stephanie hits the SVB on Dalys in the ring and gets the 3 count. So that was a really good match as well. And then we get an interview from the two ladies, from Vero Rodriguez. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Next up, we get Chewy. Is that how you say that? Chewy. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say your name. He interviews. My notes say he interviews Republican Grande Gable. And Grande Gable says, "Viva la Mexico." So that he just offended everybody. Hispanic Magic Mike versus Psycho Clown, Dr. Wagner III, and Pagano. Is that right? That's up next. And if you don't know who I'm talking, you don't know who I'm talking about. So, Hispanic Magic Mike is referring to Legado del Fantasma, for those that don't know. We get a video package for this 6-man match between Legado del Fantasma and Psycho Clown, Wagner the Third, and Pagano. And Psycho Clown says, "Let me remind you, Santos, I was in that match at Triple Mania where you lost your mask. And, that's got to sting just a little bit." And Dr. Wagner Jr., or not Dr. Wagner Jr., excuse me, Wagner the Third says, "The most beautiful mask in the world has arrived in the WWE." And you know what? Luchadors like Pagano, I fucks with them, bro. This is my dude right here. This man looks fucking crazy. He looks like he has been on a molly for like 3 months straight. This man looks like he does hardcore drugs in Gotham. This is my fucking guy right here. From there, we go back out to the arena, and Chavo Guerrero is here. Always great seeing Chavo. From Chavo in the crowd, we see Booze Gone Wild, a.k.a. your WWE Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, because, yes. So someone messed this up, and they put the Street Profits nameplate over Booze Gone Wild. So, whoopsie. Legado del Fantasma make their way out to the ring first. And Humberto looks like a Hispanic Josh Harnett. Tell me I'm wrong. Dr. Wagner, Pagano, Dressed for the Occasion, and Psycho Clown all make their way out. And I fucks with this team. I need to download some AAA wrestlers on Fire Pro. I've been really getting back into that the last couple days, and so I've been having just a tad bit of fun with that. And so I think I might get my roster back together and maybe get some matches going on there. Wagner and Humberto start us off. And they say on commentary, Los Garzas will challenge for the AAA Tag Team Championships at Triple Mania. And it'll be a triple threat match. And Corey says that there have also been rumors going on that there might be some TNA wrestlers at Triple Mania. So that's going to kick all kinds of ass. Psycho Clown and Angel tag in at one point. And there's a series of standing switches between Psycho, Angel, and Humberto, who's still in the ring. And that leads to a double German suplex from Psycho Clown to Los Garzas, which was fucking dope. But it only got a 2 count whenever he tried to pin Angel. Psycho hits a tope on Angel through the turnbuckles, which was fucking awesome. Pagano comes in and looks like he wants to hit a double drop kick, but he only got one of Los Garzas. And then he also tried for a double flapjack, but he was only able to get Humberto over. Pagano at one point goes for a dive, and Santos runs in to push Humberto out of the way, saving him. And at the same time, Angel holds the ropes open, so Pagano flies through, and he just eats the fucking floor. But then they roll him back in. They try for a pinfall attempt, but it only gets a 2 count. And oh, God. That landing, oh my God, that was fucking brutal. From there, triple kicks from Legado del Fantasma on Pagano, and it only gets a 2 count. And I'm still learning to record multi-man matches, so all of these tag matches that I've been on the show have really helped. Everyone at one point dives. Face off into the hockey fight over the logos in the middle of the ring, which was a dope visual. Los Garzas pick up Wagner overhead style, like in a overhead in a military press from the rope, and just toss his ass right onto the mat like a sack of hot rocks. And then from there, Pagano and Psycho come in and they stagger both of them. Psycho actually grabs Berto and then hits a Psycho driver on the apron. And then from there, we get a moonsault from Angel on Psycho. But that's followed up with a cross body from Pagano on Angel. So just everybody's flying. Santos hits a super Rana on Wagner in the ring for 2. And then follows it up with a Phantom driver. And this is enough to keep Wagner down for the 3. Whew. That was a good match. That was a real good match. From there, we get a video package detailing the first Worlds Collide, which I might give that a watch here soon. I might talk about that here on the podcast and have one of that be the next upcoming episodes. And so stay tuned for that, because I might talk about that sooner rather than later. From there, we get an interview with Vikingo, and he's ready to defend the AAA Mega Championship. But next up, it's time for the Fatal 4-Way for the North American Championship. And before we even get to that, we have a couple of guests here in the crowd. We are joined by Savio Vega, Damian Priest, and Blue Demon. They are all in the crowd and excited for this next upcoming match. First up, we get Javon Evans out, followed by Laredo Kid, who is the AAA World Cruiserweight Champion. So he's looking to become Laredo 2 belts in this match. Rey Fenix and the NXT North American champ himself, Ethan Page. And so it's the U.S. versus Canada versus Mexico. And I like how the U.S. is represented by North Carolina. My boy Javon coming from Greensboro, which that's how it should be. At one point in this match, Ethan hits a Hurricane Rana, and it actually looked really clean. And so the story with this one, more than anything, was really just Ethan showing that he can hang with the high flyers. But this, similar to the first match, was just all highlights, man. All highlights from the get-go. Javon hits a Swanton drop kick at one point. I'm not sure what it was, but it looked like it hurt both of them. Let's be real. Fuck. Looked like it hurt him just as much as it did Laredo Kid, I think it was, that he had set up for that. It was either Laredo or Phoenix. I'm not sure. But at one point, Ethan goes for the Ego's Edge. Phoenix, though, gets his balance on the ropes. Ethan was going to hit it on Phoenix. And so he tries to he balances himself on the ropes. And Laredo Kid is sitting up there. And so he holds on to him for a second. He kicks the shit out of Ethan. He hits a Spanish fly. Ethan then proceeds to grab Phoenix. He hits the Ego's Edge on Phoenix. Cover, but Javon Evans, That's what I know him as, my bad. Javon Evans comes flying in with a splash landing on the back of Ethan Page, breaking up the pinfall. And so this match, the beginning match, and honestly, the main, were worth the price of admission alone. Okay? So from there, Javon hits a super mallet cutter, that springboard cutter that he does where he goes all the way to the top rope. Ethan then tosses Javon out, and he lands on Phoenix. And Ethan hits the twisted grin on Laredo Kid, and Ethan retains the North American Championship. Great match. Great match. Give this one a watch. Give that a watch because it was absolutely worth it. From there, we get a video package talking about the importance of Triple Mania and how it's the equivalent to WrestleMania. And I would definitely love to go to a Triple Mania at some point, regardless of whether I'm going as a fan or working the show in any kind of manner, whether it be as a cameraman or as a wrestler. I would love the opportunity to do some work over in Mexico. That could absolutely be a lot of fun, and I feel like I could definitely benefit from having a different style to record. So that would definitely be on my list of things to do at some point. And then from there, we get a video package for the main event. And Grande Gable is talking about how he's learned the dark arts of Lucha Libre. He must have watched season 4 of Lucha Underground on repeat or some shit. Because, sir... Next up, Manny from Modern Family is in the crowd, talking about Fluffy or some shit, whatever his name is. Next up, Grande Gable is making his way out to the ring. Vikingo follows suit. And August 16th, if I can, that's the date for Triple Mania. I might find a way, if I can, to watch Triple Mania, because so far it's been sounding really, really good. And so I think that would be a really good time. That'd be a really good episode to talk about here on the podcast, and try to incorporate AAA just a little bit more. But I think that could potentially be a lot of fun. But this match, they really go back and forth in the beginning. A good wrestling, good graps, some might say. Vikingo boots Grande Gable in the corner, and then he tries to flip over at one point, but he ends up getting caught up. Corey, for whatever reason, don't call him Cunningham, he, for whatever reason, asked, how important is it to have the AAA title? Bro, what? It's their world title. What does it mean to have, and Conan literally says this, what does it mean to have the WWE Championship? What do you think it means to have the AAA World Championship? Come on, Corey. You gotta ask better questions than this, man. Vikingo at one point hits a 630 from the top to the outside to the back of Grande Gable, and holy shit, I know that had to hurt. But this is my first time really seeing Vikingo, and I really enjoyed this match. This was kind of like a Vikingo exhibition, just trying to get him in front of the American audience, I guess, and really show what he can do. He lived up to it. He lived up to the hype. He did what he needed to do, because I'm a fan. I am a fan. This was a great match. But it gets better. It gets better. Shooting star off of the apron from Vikingo, but Grande Gable is able to get the knees up. Gable says at one point, Lucha Libre sucks, and, well, I don't know about that, Chief. And at this point, Grande Gable gets a table, and so I'm thoroughly confused. I'm like, disqualifications? Question mark? Do we really just let it fly this much in Lucha Libre? I mean, I'm all for it if that's the case, but I just need to know. I'm new here. I'm new. You got to tell me these things. Gable tries to suplex him, but he fails, and Vikingo is able to counter. Gable is able to deliver a clothesline, though, that turns Vikingo inside out. They then head back into the ring. Vikingo leaps across the ring at one point to deliver a double foot stomp on Gable, who was draped across the ropes. That was kind of crazy to see. Vikingo also hit a Phoenix Splash from the outside, like he was on the second rope, but on the apron, like if you were standing on the outside, like if you were a tag partner. So he's standing on the second rope, back towards the ring, and then nails a Phoenix Splash flawlessly. That only got a 2 count, though. That was fucking crazy. From there, Gable tries to one-up him and attempts to do a moonsault, but misses. He lands on his feet, though, which that was really impressive. Can't hate on that athleticism. And then from there, Gable hits an inside out. Oh my God, this was fucking sick. Gable, at this point, he has Vikingo in powerbomb position on the top rope, and he hits an inside sit-out powerbomb, and that only gets a 2 count. Damn! Holy shit. Once Gable hits this and he's not able to put him away, Gable at one point, he's just mumbling to himself, he's just a lucha. He's just a lucha. He's just a lucha. And he says this a couple times, and you can hear him on the camera. This man is saying he's just a lucha. You don't want to add door onto that? Lucha door? No? Okay. Vikingo hits a destroyer on the apron, leaping from the top ring post at one point, and it looked like Gable fucking died. He landed on his head, and Grande Gable looked like it was just immediately out to pastures. He was fucking dead. But this wasn't enough. This was not enough. It only gets a 2 count. So Vikingo then sent him up on the table, but he took just a little bit too much time getting up there, and Gable climbs back up and he just pushes him off. He just shoved his ass right off. It was a pretty nasty landing, honestly. And I will say, on my bingo card, I was not expecting a Michael Myers reference. But hey, you know, Halloween can be for everybody too. So Gable sets Vikingo up on this table and smashes his ass with a moonsault. Like, oh my God, this fucking table. Woo! It had that good crack, like crunch, breaking sound. Oh my God, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I will admit, Chad Gable, Grande Gable, he does really have a great moonsault. It does look really nice. And I will say it is probably one of the better looking moonsaults in the Fed right now. From there, they're both laid out and they're struggling to get back up to their feet. Referee is doing his 10 count. They get to 9 and both get back in. They exchange blows for a second. They exchange maneuvers. Grande Gable locks in an ankle lock, and Vikingo was able to get out of it eventually. But, you know, he's favoring the ankle now, so you have to keep an eye on that. Vikingo then, at one point, climbs the top ropes. He does a twist while coming down onto the shoulders of Grande Gable, and then hits a reverse Rana. Holy shit. But he does not stop here. He doesn't stop. From that reverse Rana, Grande Gable staggered, seated in the corner, Meteora from Vikingo, and now he gets him into position. He has him in the drop zone, and then he hits a 630 and sends us home. I fucking love the 630 as a finishing move. Oh my God. Regardless of whether it's Ricochet doing it or whether, you know, whenever Will Ospreay has done it, I love the 630. It is one of my favorite moves that I've ever seen in wrestling, and I need people to do it more. But the 630 is enough to get the 3 count. Vikingo retains the AAA Mega Championship, and the AAA roster comes down to celebrate. Well, the AAA roster and Javon. He's there too. But that wraps up Worlds Collide. This was a great show. I'm definitely going to go back and watch When Worlds Collide from 1994. That is going to be coming your way real soon, so be on the lookout for that. Man, I'm so glad to be able to cover this. And then coming up next, we are actually going to be doing a dual wield episode. It is going to be Backlash and Saturday night's main event. I am looking forward to that. I have got the next couple of episodes all planned out. Backlash, Saturday night's main event, that's coming up next. Then we're doing Thunder. We're going to follow that up with Uncensored 2000. And then I think that might do us for season 1. And we're going to wrap that up. And then we're going to come back with season 2. And I'm going to talk about Ready to Rumble. I watched that for the first time here recently. And that movie ruled ass, man. Oh my God. That movie was fucking awesome. I can't wait to talk about that and give that a review. That's going to be a real fun time because I think I might go back and watch it again for the purpose of doing this and take a few notes here and there and just talk about some of the high points and what I really liked about it. And, you know, I had always heard that Ready to Rumble wasn't really that good, but I came across it on YouTube, actually, because it was free with ads. And so I gave it a watch there, and I don't know what everyone's talking about. I fucking love this movie. I absolutely loved it, and man, this is going to be fun. Ready to Rumble is going to be fun. And then from Ready to Rumble, we're going to come back at you with Nitro, and then I got a few extra surprise heading your guys' way. And I think that might actually be a good time to cover one show that I've really wanted to talk about for a good while. But I'll leave that in suspense for you guys. Got to leave you wanting something just a little bit more. But that is going to do it for this episode here on the Wrestle Ramble. Worlds Collide is finished. It is now in the bag. And now we can turn our attention towards Backlash and Saturday night's main event. And we got so much more wrestling to come, folks. So much more wrestling to come. I might talk about AEW at some point. Who knows? I've also been thinking about maybe talking about some AWA stuff. I definitely want to cover that at some point. And, you know, I might throw some old NWA stuff in there, too. You know, we got a lot of wrestling to talk about, folks. Regardless of whether it's modern-day wrestling, some throwbacks, maybe some wrestling movies, or video games, whatever it may be. And if you have anything that you would like me to talk about here on the podcast, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you give us a subscribe, hit that thumbs up to join us here at Delta 131, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss an episode of when the Wrestle Ramble goes live. And we'll be coming back real soon, and I cannot wait. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time when the Wrestle Ramble goes live.